Hello and welcome to another episode of the Amenorrhea Fertility Diaries. In this channel we speak about health, about nutrition, about fertility, about the menstrual cycle, and more specifically about the lack of the menstrual cycle due to a condition called hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is when a woman that was before normally menstruating suddenly misses her cycle for more than 3 months, and it's generally attributed to reasons of stress, over-exercising, and under-eating. I have suffered from HA myself. I didn't have a menstrual cycle during 2 years for a mix of reasons. It was definitely due to the exercise, also restrictive diets and some stress. And I've done a ton of other videos explaining how you can recover from this and how I recovered and telling you my story. And lately in my videos, I've been focusing a little bit on the post-recovery lifestyle and about other things that I've experienced after recovering your menstrual cycle. So in this video, I'm going to be speaking about something that we call a short luteal phase, or a luteal phase deficiency, or a luteal phase defect. And I'm going to define all these terms in a little bit, but just so you know what it's about, this is generally attributed to lower than normal levels of progesterone. So it's when the second half of the menstrual cycle is shorter than what is normal, and this can cause a lot of other consequences. So if you have had HA and you've recovered, but you're experiencing irregular cycles, you're experiencing symptoms, very strong premenstrual symptoms such as breast heaviness, you're very tired the week before your cycle comes, you feel anxiety, difficulty sleeping, you're feeling dizziness, like extreme dizziness, or you're having a lot of difficulties with conceiving, but you've checked and everything else seems to be normal, then this video will be probably very interesting for you. So please stay put. Just one little note, as you know, I'm not a doctor, so anything you do based on this video, please consult with your physician before, and especially if it's about taking medication and all of that, of course. And also one little thing, because we live in a society where everybody gets offended very easily, I want to say my content is probably not very good for people who have very strong eating disorders, because I'm just going to be speaking about freely about food and about what I eat and not. And if you feel triggered by this kind of content, then probably it's not for you. So let's dive right in. So before anything, let's define these terms that I've been using. What is a luteal phase? So as I've explained in other videos, the menstrual cycle has 2 different phases. The first phase, so let's say from the day 1 until day roughly 15, but it's different for everyone depending on the length of your cycle as well. This is called the follicular phase. And that is when the follicles will be growing, and these follicles will release an egg. And once the egg is released, this is called ovulation, roughly in the middle of the cycle, as I said, depending from person to person. And then after ovulation has occurred, the second phase starts, which is called the luteal phase, and it goes until the day of bleeding. So you might think that the follicular phase is more important because it's when the eggs are being matured, it's when your follicles are growing and all of that, but that's not so. The second phase, the luteal phase, is also really important. It's also a very energy demanding phase, and it's actually when your uterine lining is creating some changes so that it has the perfect texture and the perfect chemistry to have the possibly fertilized egg go and sit there and be healthy and have everything that it needs. If a pregnancy doesn't occur, that is what you throw and shred out with your menses, with your menstrual cycle, accompanied with a little bit of blood. That's all the clotting that can come with it, and that's what it's all about. So this video is going to be about the second phase, the luteal phase. And normally, so let's say a menstrual cycle will have between, well, it depends, there's a lot of lengths, but a healthy menstrual cycle should have around 28 days, could be longer as well. My cycles are really long, they're like 34 days, so it's not a bad thing. The thumb with ovulation is that ovulation occurs 14 days before your last day of your cycle or your first day of bleeding. So if your cycle is 34 days, then probably you will be ovulating around day 20. Plus minus 1 day, 2 days, it's not a problem. But if you're ovulating 10 days before your bleeding, or less than that, then that is a sign that there is a problem. So this will be a short luteal phase defect or deficiency. To remember what is progesterone, I'm going to be speaking about that all the time. So progesterone is one of the two dominant hormones that orchestrate your whole hormonal system of the menstrual cycle. The other one is estrogen. So on the luteal phase, progesterone is the dominant hormone, and the progesterone levels are really high in that phase, and they sustain, they keep high. This is the hormone that is going to send the signal to your brain to thicken that uterine lining. It's actually also the pregnancy hormone. It doesn't mean you're pregnant if you have progesterone high, but what happens with pregnancy is that progesterone keeps on being released, and if you're not pregnant, then it will drop again. And this drop in progesterone is what's gonna tell your body to have your cycle, to have your menstruation, to have your blood coming down, because it's telling your body that there's no pregnancy, there's no need to keep this uterine lining, and you shred it. And then after that, again, estrogen levels start to increase slowly so that you create your follicles again, and etc., etc. And lastly, about defining the terms, PMS. So this is a short for premenstrual syndrome or premenstrual symptoms. They actually talk about this as a syndrome in itself. It's people that have a lot of very, very exaggerated, very heavy symptoms before they get their period. So the week after the week before getting your bleeding, it's very, I mean, almost all women, me too, we notice it really. We experience we're a little bit more sensitive. It's the cliche where you just want to sit down at home and cry and eat a lot of ice cream. We're really craving sweet things, carbs, chocolate. I get a huge craving to chocolate. That's because you're a bit lower in magnesium. You might be a bit more irritable. You're more tired, your breasts are sensitive, it's always this time when you feel very fat and bad, and I always had that, I don't know, maybe it's stupid, whatever, but because you're a little bit swollen and all of that, anyway, so that's really, really common to have some of that. But if it's to such a huge extent that you can't lead a normal life and that you really need to take pain relieving medication, a lot of cramps and all of that, then they really talk about premenstrual syndrome. And this can also be related to the short luteal phase defect. So these are the terms, and then I want to tell you why I'm doing this video, because actually it happened to me. So before I ever had HA, I never ever had premenstrual symptoms like that. A little bit maybe, but really just like the day before the cycle or 2 days before, I would feel a bit of cramping. I would feel a bit like, oh, why am I so emotional? And then it was always like, oh yeah, of course, because it's the day. But since I recovered from HA, which I'm very happy about, it's been about a year or even a bit longer now. I've had kind of regular cycles. I've always had a little bit like plus one day. As I said, I always had quite long cycles. In the past, actually, I don't know because I didn't track them, but it seems to be the normality for me, which is all fine. But I do experience much stronger PMS symptoms. Lately, it's a little bit better because I found some strategies that can help you with that, which I'm going to tell you later. But so this is why I started to study this and to really read and dig into the literature that there is existing about the short luteal phase. So I want to tell you there is three authors that I'm going to be referring to a lot in this video, and that I would like you to check out if you're interested in this. Again, I've talked about this before, but the first one is Nicola Rinaldi with this book that is like the Bible for hypothalamic amenorrhea, but also for everything that comes after all these complications, and maybe for other people that are trying to conceive and are not getting pregnant immediately. This can be really, really helpful. No Period Now What by Nicola Rinaldi. She has a whole chapter about the luteal phase defect or deficiency. And then we also have a very, very interesting doctor that I follow online a lot. Her name is Natalie Crawford, and she is an OBGYN obstetrician and also works in a fertility clinic, so in the United States. So she has a lot of content online and Spotify. She has a podcast called As a Woman, and she also has episodes fully dedicated to this. She has more of a traditional like medical view on things, but it's very clear and really logic. Her content, Rinaldi is giving a little bit of a more let's say modern view or new view on this problem and what it could be. But anyway, they're both super interesting sources. And then we also have Dr. Mindy Pelz, Pelz. I've referred to her before. She's amazing. She's on YouTube. Probably you will maybe know her if you're watching me. You're probably following these kind of people. And she has a lot of content about how you can adapt your lifestyle to your menstrual cycle and how this can help you with all these things, especially if this is related to a lower level of progesterone. She has a whole chapter in her book, which is called Fast as a Girl. And I know fasting is a little bit of a delicate subject with HAers. As I said, never fast if you have hypothalamic amenorrhea. I'm sure Mindy actually will never recommend you to fast when you have hypothalamic amenorrhea either. But for other people, it might be healthy. So that's why she writes about that. But she tells you how to do it and how not to do it and how to do it in accordance to your hormones when you are recovered and when you have no problems with HA. So now I've cited my sources. I just want to quickly go through some other important points. Currently, there is some controversy in the medical world about how to treat the luteal phase. I was reading, and Dr. Rinaldi is saying that the more traditional view, many doctors are saying that the low progesterone levels and the shorter luteal phase are due to a poor quality of the ovulation. So, like the ovulation is not so strong, so they try to focus on strengthening or supporting the ovulation to solve the problem. So they will administrate medications such as Clomid or Omifin, it's called in some countries. And this is like something that is telling your brain to create a lot of estrogen, and that will help you to create stronger follicles, supposedly. It's actually the oldest medication that exists to treat some kinds of infertility and anovulation. I've done another video where I explained how my experience with it was, because I tried it for a little while when I was still in HA. My doctor gave it to me. I was desperate, and I thought, yeah, let's do it. It's not appropriate if you're not trying to conceive, because it will send a lot of signals for your follicles to grow. And it's incredible. It makes you really feel very strange, and your breasts are so full, and you have very strong symptoms. You feel so swollen. Your follicles grow. He was looking at me with the echo and everything, and they grow very fastly. So there is some risk together with it. It's not good to overstimulate if you're not going to actively get pregnant. It's not a medication for treating hypothalamic amenorrhea on itself. And so it's a bit strange that they will solve the luteal phase deficiency with this kind of medication. But then a more like modern approach that she explains is that it would be to medicate just progesterone in case you would need it. Of course, this you have to talk with your doctor. Apparently, a lot of doctors don't want to administrate progesterone because they are based on their older research. Anyway, I don't want to go into the woods of this because, as I said, I'm not a doctor, so I can't prescribe you for anything. But I did try these medications, and I don't know, I think for some people it may help, but as I said, only if you're really actively trying to get pregnant, and you should never use it for more than 6 months in your whole life, apparently, because your follicles do grow a lot, and this, any kind of extra stimulation, overgrowth, it might lead to other effects, even to cancer and stuff like that. So if you can do it the natural way, always better. As I said, that's also what I decided back at the time, and I said anything I do will be natural. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, but it should be in a natural way. So let's move to what you can do and what I have been doing. So I want to say this: the symptoms that I experienced really strongly, I don't know if it's different for everyone, but it was extreme tiredness in not only the few days before my cycle, but really like a full week before my cycle, like really tired. Also that I would go to the gym, because I said I still exercise less than before and everything, and with respect to my hormones, but I still go, and I couldn't push it the same way as before. It was like as my heart just pumped harder, and as if I had less stamina, less strength, but quite exaggerated, really. I felt like, I don't know, I was like suddenly an old lady or whatever. And the other symptom I experienced was dizziness. Like suddenly I would be walking and like really like suddenly, whoa, I always thought it was like sugar dips, but I mean, my blood sugars are normal. I'm eating good. I don't know why I would have that. I never had it before. So that's apparently linked to this. Like not nausea, but dizziness, really. Like suddenly the floor was moving or something like that. I would also sometimes miss just like a fraction of a second, as if I would miss consciousness almost. It was very strange. And then also the most predominant symptom was the breast fullness. Like I felt like breast hurt a lot. I love to go to the massage sometimes, but and I just could adore it. But in the week before my cycle, I couldn't go because I couldn't just lie on top of my breasts. And it's strange. I always had like quite not too big breasts, and I was running and everything, so I used this very tight sports bras, but I couldn't go running. Forget it. Like it wouldn't be possible because they were so sensitive also. So those were my symptoms, and that's, as I said, how I started researching this. It's funny, it's not so easy to find the reasons for every one of these symptoms. It's not like, oh yeah, breast tenderness is linked to progesterone. It's like these are symptoms of hormonal changes in general. It's also symptoms that happen when you get your cycle anyway. When it's also pregnancy symptoms. It's also the symptoms that you get when you're menopause and all of that. So it's just an indication of hormonal changes. So it's difficult to see exactly what you should do. But something that has really, really helped me is to lead a lifestyle like Mindy Pelz is suggesting, that is in accordance to your hormones. So that means that in your first half of the cycle, you can push it a little bit stronger, because in the follicular phase you will also feel more energetic, you will feel less need of eating a lot of foods, for example. It's the phase when you could try some fasting if you wanted, when you could train a bit harder if you wanted. It's maybe the first days, 2 days that you're bleeding, you're still a bit like getting adapted to it. But after that, just when the bleeding finishes, it's really your power phase, as she calls it. It's also when you will be more extrovert, your estrogen is high. So if you're a businesswoman and you want to have your important meetings and everything, of course, I know you can't plan your schedule only around the menstrual cycle, but this is the moment when you will be really sharp, high. You have some testosterone also. Yes, women, we also have testosterone. So you will really be there and achieving your goals and all of that. It's also when you will feel less hungry. I don't know if you remember something, but in the past they always said like you should start your diets on the week of your bleeding, because it's really your hunger levels go down. I feel that a lot. And then in your second half of the cycle, when the luteal phase starts, which is I really feel it now. I've really learned to be in touch with my body, and also I can know when this happens because I'm tracking. Not anymore, but I was tracking my ovulation for a while because I wanted to know a little bit what happened if I had this luteal phase defect. So how can you track your ovulation? There's a lot of systems, like the basal body temperature system. There is like these aura rings that you can wear, and that will do it through an application. And then there is the more old school system, which I think works the best, is the ovulation like strips that you could have to pee on, or that, well, you take the pee in a glass and it's like a pregnancy test, and those will detect the LH levels in your blood. LH is the hormone that peaks just before your ovulation, so it will give you the time of ovulation by plus minus 1 day. And for people that had HA, that have the irregular cycles, that have these problems with the luteal phase, it's the only method that will really work, because the other methods, if you have irregular cycles, won't work, because they base on your basal body temperature, and they make like an algorithm with the application, and they kind of apply the same logic to the next cycle, but for that you need regular cycles. So what I did, because the strips for ovulation that you buy in the pharmacy are quite expensive, and like the clear blue ones, I find completely rubbish. They're like the most expensive ones, because they come with a machine where you put the strip in and it gives you a smiley if you're ovulating, or like, I don't know what, if you're not ovulating. But often, if you don't do it exactly the seconds that it tells you, you will have to throw it away. You will have to do it again. And they're like €50 for a package. So I find that ridiculous. So what I did is I went in Amazon and I bought these cheaper ones that came, I don't know where, from China, but it was like a huge bag. They're tiny, very small, very simple. It's really like for dummies. You put it in the pee, and there's just two lines, and if both lines are equally strong, then it means it's the day, and if not, it means it's not. And actually I've been doing it, and it gave me a pretty good indication of when I was ovulating. I have to say, like, with time, it's really normal that this is also said by Dr. Rinaldi, that your luteal phase, short luteal phase, will get better. So if you've had HA and you're just recovering, your first 3-4 cycles, even your first year might be a bit messy, but the more regular your cycles are, and probably your luteal phase will be lengthening as well. I would say don't get too bothered by this unless you're really trying to get pregnant. But if you're like me and you like to know what is happening in your body, you can try these ovulation test strips and see how many days before you're bleeding you're having the ovulation. And if it's 10 or less, then it might be a sign that you need to work a little bit harder on getting that hormonal orchestration in order and in boosting your progesterone a little bit more. So how do we boost our progesterone? As Mindy Spells explained, in the second half of your menstrual cycle, you should be a little bit more gentle to yourself. So more or less the steps that we used to recover from HA, you can apply on the luteal phase, which is, again, no fasting, no more than, let's say, 14 hours without food. Just have your nice breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't have to eat a lot of junk food. I never was an advocate for that, but you can just, give you a little bit more nurturing. You're going to be a little bit more hungry for carbohydrates, for sweet things. So it's a perfect moment to dive into the nature's carbs, as I call them. You can have nice tropical fruit like mangoes, papayas. You can have sweet potato. I eat a lot of sweet potato then, rice. All these things, it will really help your body. Even a little bit of glucose is good for progesterone. Give your body the feeling that it's safe, that it has everything it needs. Give yourself a bit more rest. I sleep a lot when I'm on the luteal phase, so just give it to you. You can go do some movement, but I wouldn't do the heaviest exercise then because it will feel a bit weird. And if you live in this way, in accordance to that, probably it will get better with time. Also, there is some supplements that may help. As I said, I'm not such a fan on relying only on supplements. I think the things that you do with your lifestyle have a much bigger effect. But it's true that a lot of research has said that vitamin C, boost your vitamin C levels, can help a lot with lengthening your luteal phase. So I'm taking it, I'm doing it. It's better since then, but I don't think it's due to that only, at least, or maybe a little bit, but also due to time and due to my lifestyle that I'm learning to adjust to my hormones. But anyway, just take a good vitamin C. This can help. Vitamin B is also important, apparently. Flaxseed, it's always a very good one for hormones, so I like it a lot. Flaxseed, chia seeds, I do my puddings and everything, so I don't know either if it's really helping, but anyway, they say that it helps a lot with progesterone. And also something that I really think does help from supplements is to take one of these fertility multi-vitamin things, or like a preconception mix, or some that are special for your follicle growth and everything. There are a lot of different names for it, but those really focus on those vitamins and minerals and things that you can need for this for having a healthy sexual system, sexual health and fertility. So that I think is a good idea. Also, some fish oil could be good. I use the cod liver oil because it really works well for me, and it's not as expensive as the Alaskan salmon oil. So anyway, but you can experiment a bit with that. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm looking forward to hear your comments. If you have any questions, just let me know. And as always, take care, be healthy, be happy, and see you next time.